What does this mean for geopolitics and so forth? And so we've entered an extended period of instability in the world, in global politics. Today, as Russia sends drones into parts of Europe, you don't see the United States saying, I will be with you in standing by Europe, and Ursula von der Leyen and others have to say, oh, what if there is another attack on a European country? And so there could be another war, and what does that mean, and so forth. So the next 5 years, possibly 10 years, will be full of this uncertainty and instability, and that will have a major impact on all kinds of policy, whether it's climate change. Many of you will be dealing with this and thinking about this here in South Africa, whether there is a La Nina phenomenon going on and so forth. Issues of redress, DEI, under attack in the US and certainly in other parts of the world, migration policy, all these will be impacted by this transition that we are going through. I think the biggest risk that many of us did not factor in was how consequential the Trump presidency will be, is, and will impact on our businesses, on our countries going forward. In just 8 months, my view is that Donald Trump has totally upended global politics. Nothing is what it was on January 19. It's totally changed. And part of it is because he is extremely powerful. He's in the Oval Office, he controls 2 houses of Congress in the US. The Supreme Court is tilted towards him. His party is fully in support of him. He also knows that in the United States, unlike us here at home, they elect you, and if they don't like you, they get rid of you very quickly. If you look at this, it will show you just how the Senate, the House, the presidency flips between the Democrats and the Republicans. So he knows he's got 2 years before the midterms, and so he's moving very fast to implement his agenda. That is why within 6 months you have seen him make good on something that he didn't take seriously, and it's those tariffs that he has imposed on the world. He always said it, and he thought, he won't do that. But look at us now. The entire world is struggling to build a new tariff regime within the United States that wasn't present all along. Given that, here in South Africa, you think about what are the things that the United States and the Donald Trump administration is unhappy about. Well, South Africa is not about to change its stance on Russia. Our president says Russia is a valid ally, is a valid friend. South Africa says China is a reliable friend. These are all things that make the US very, very unhappy. On Palestine, President Ramaphosa has said we will always be together. And so you see the stances that South Africa has taken are stances that the inner circle in the Trump administration is totally unhappy about. Plus, the history is not so good. Donald Trump has always taken a negative view on South Africa. Back in 2015, he tweeted that South Africa is a total and very dangerous mess. Now, those of you who come from elsewhere, our visitor friend Alex, all of you have been here. I'm not sure that it's a total and very dangerous mess, but this is the kind of thing that the United States president back in 2015, before he got into power, was already saying. People like Elon Musk, Julius Malema says something, and they say South Africa saying something, which is totally different things. Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, who is the most powerful diplomat in the US and in the world, possibly, very anti some of the things that Pretoria has done. And you can see those attitudes, those stances have led to what we've seen with the Trump administration, the executive orders, the threats, the decision not to attend the G20 here in South Africa, many of the threats about if you don't do this, we won't do this, we will change this, attempts to say land expropriation and other policies should change and will put pressure on all that and so forth. And it continues nonetheless. And so my view is that the relationship between the US and South Africa will continue to be constrained. It will have an impact on many businesses here. You've seen some American businesses being worried about, do we continue, how does this continue, what does the trade relationship look like? I think it is almost inevitable that some ANC leaders, some government leaders in South Africa may be sanctioned by the US in a personal capacity. I don't think there will be a blanket sanctions on South Africa, as it were. I think there may be some attempts to say to US institutions that they mustn't buy South African debt. That would be a massive thing if it got to that. It's something that I say to people, keep it on your radar because it would cause havoc with the financial markets. But there will be some action, and there is all kinds of legislation that's going through Congress right now, trying to get to the sanctions that I've spoken about. It may, in about 6 months, as other countries, particularly China, begin to assert themselves, and so the pressure may abate a little bit. But if that doesn't happen, and I think the TikTok deal that you saw would be something that that might mitigate against what I'm saying. But I think that relationship may change somewhat. So we need to, once again, be prepared for some of those things. Here at home, we have the government of national unity that's, it's not built on unity, it's not built on the positive. It's built because, as Cyril Ramaphosa says, if the ANC did not build a coalition with the DA, it would be something that's, as he said, too ghastly to contemplate. John Steenhuisen said our country would be burnt to ashes if the ANC went to the EFF. You may agree or disagree with that. But they were scared of what could be. So they said, oh, let's get together and do this. Then the ANC got in a whole bunch of other smaller parties. We actually have 10 parties in this GNU. But the key thing is this, the ANC at 40%, the DA at 22% are totally in charge of it, and they can make any decision they wish if they agree. So we have a weird thing with this thing. We have the biggest cabinet probably in the world. Look at that. I don't think even our president can tell you who this gentleman is. It's a very big cabinet. This was Nelson Mandela's cabinet in 1996, and that includes deputy ministers at the back there. It was very small and very conscious of its purpose. How long can this thing last? There have been ups and downs where the DA says, I'm leaving, and then the deadline comes, and the deadline goes, and nothing happens. I've always been of the view that GNU will survive despite the differences because they both need each other, and they'll continue to stay in it, at least until the local elections next year. The local elections next year will need everyone to say, this is who I am, this is who I am. And again and again, the people in the tent will be asked, but you say that's who you are, but you agree with the ANC or you agree with the DA and so forth and so forth. So why are you staying in it? So they are not together, but But my view is that they will stay together for another year at least until we get to the elections next year, I understand, and we may see some rupture at that time. In the meantime, people say, oh, the ANCs do that and so does this. But as we saw with the budget this year, actually the ANC cannot just do as it wishes. There are other parties saying, I don't want the VAT hike, I don't want that. So there is space for policy to change, for things to be done in a different way, and so forth and so forth. One of the things that I think we should be constantly aware of is that possibly the biggest glue that holds this GNU together is Cyril Ramaphosa, the president himself. If he goes, and there are many people saying, why did he say the DA runs municipalities better? And others saying, oh, maybe it's time for you to go, and so forth. If he goes, and when he goes, will have a huge impact on whether this GNU continues. And so what happens on that day, and we've seen this with the departure of Thabo Mbeki, the departure of Jacob Zuma in 2018, those days and those periods are full of uncertainty and turbulence and so forth. And it's something to look out for about when it will happen. And also, what then a new government looks like. Is it a government where you have possibly Paul Mashatile, the deputy president of the ANC, and Jacob Zuma, the president of MK Party, and Julius Malema form a coalition of ANC parties? Does it look different? Does Paul Mashatile, the ANC leadership, continue with the DA and so forth? I think that will be a period of and a time of great uncertainty and instability, and that may happen in our year when we move closer to those local elections. So we're all going to need good, strong seatbelts for that. Some of the risks that I think we should keep an eye on. Sometimes things happen all over the world, and we say, "Oh, look at the rise of the right wing in Europe. What's happening in the UK with immigration, migration, and so forth." But it's also happening in South Africa. This is now a global phenomenon. Just 2 weeks ago, a child was prevented from getting care at a clinic here in South Africa because allegedly the kid was Malawian. The kid died, and now we have a case. You have people standing outside clinics saying foreigners must they've classified them illegal aliens who must not access this. People standing outside schools saying these kids must not go to school. Of course, no one says, why is it the government that I elected not making sure that the borders are secure, or that home affairs systems are not hackable, and so forth and so forth and so forth. But this is a phenomenon that's going to have an impact globally. If you think about a country such as India, where a huge number of young, talented PhDs go and work for Amazon or for a tech company in California, and now they have to pay $100,000 for an H-1B visa when they used to pay $1,000 for that visa. It becomes a totally new thing. What happens to that talent? Do we attract it in South Africa? Does it go to Europe? Does it go to the UK? Where does it go? And so a huge amount of turbulence is around just that. And so here in South Africa, do we continue to be the same? Do we copy others and kick out talent that we need in South Africa because it's from Zimbabwe or it's from Nigeria or elsewhere? All these things, I think, are going to be a big theme in the next year and so forth. I'm very interested in the fact that yesterday in Madagascar, there were riots by young people saying, enough now, we need food, the inflation is too high and so forth. And last week it was in Peru, Many of you will have seen the riots in